Charles,
Yes, Jacob.
have you seen the latest Superman trailer with Superman
No.
and Lois Lane
What
chatting and
happens
stuff?
in it? Is
Are you
Superman in it?
serious? Yeah, I hate you. You know what happens?
Yeah, I know what
Opening of the
happens.
trailer, we get the classic Superman Lois Lane interview, like what happened in the Christopher Reeve, um,
Mm-hmm.
movie. Though it was not really like that at all. Like the Christopher Reeve one, was very. He was like very hopeful and very measured. Well, to be fair, that Lois Lane kind of softballed him. This Lois
This
Lane,
is true.
hard nosed reporter, she went straight into the tough stuff, which it was very clear from the movie trailer that Clark Kent / Superman was not ready for these questions. He thought this would be
Yeah.
like an easy interview, and all of a sudden, I assume his girlfriend at this point is hitting him with the tough stuff.
With really tough questions, and also kind of like Clark, you should have known that she was gonna do that. She's Lois Lane. Like she loves you, but she's a reporter first, and everything else second. You know? She's gonna
I
hit you with
think she should
the
have
hard
softballed him a
questions.
little bit. I mean, come
I do
on.
think she started pretty like she didn't lube up, you know. She was very much like going in me like hard questions first at bat. She really should have sent him a couple of softballs and then hit him with the, you might have just caused like a massive conflict, in the Middle East or wherever
Yeah.
he goes to do that stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think she did start a little bit heavy, but whatever. Uh and then Superman kind of loses his shit. He kind of
He
like gets
does.
angry. And I've seen people complaining about this online. That's like Superman should never get angry. He should always be measured and calm and happy. And I'm like, this is why people think Superman's boring.
Yeah.
It's like you have to give him a character, right? Because I have seen Superman be compared to Paddington Bear, strangely enough, in a lot of ways. In that Paddington stories, Paddington never changes. It's Paddington's presence that causes all of these changes around him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that is cool, but Paddington still has a character, you know? He's still like shy and nervous and awkward and funny and stuff like that. Superman needs to have a character, and it doesn't necessarily need to change throughout the story, right? He doesn't need to go through an arc, but he has to have a character, you know? And I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people just think of him as a big monolith that stands for truth, justice, the American way. What's his favorite food? He likes cheeseburgers and freedom, like that sort of thing. And I'm like, no. Superman is a citizen of the world, and he wants to help everyone. And Lois Lane's kind of being like a little bit argumentative, let's say. A little obtuse in her questioning, but I
I
understand
think
why.
what I hope is what's going to happen, because I've heard this scene is quite long in the movie, the
Yeah.
interview scene.
From
I
all
really
your
hope that like
insider,
this is the
uh,
opening stuff, right? Like
ooh.
this the
Mhm.
hard nosed questions, and then Clark's like, I'm really sucking here, aren't I? Like I this is we can't put this out, and then
Yeah.
they do it again, and he does it more carefully and more
Mhm.
thought provoke, and like she'll probably sort of coach him on like how he should really answer these questions, maybe a little bit.
But I
Because I
could
mean,
also,
to be fair, he shouldn't. He's also a journalist. Like
yeah, he
he should
should
be
know how to
able to
answer
answer these
questions.
questions.
I could see it being kind of that's the emotional conflict throughout the movie is like we have an opening action sequence where Superman goes in and he helps all these people, right? And then you get the interview scene. And Lois, like Clark asks her, please don't put that out. And she's like, it's kind of might be betraying my journalistic ethics a little bit not to like I'm interviewing you as Superman, you agreed to this. You've answered these questions. Just because you don't like the answers you've given doesn't mean that you haven't answered them, you know? And I could see Lois publishing that article and it causing kind of a falling out, which gets
Oh,
and like that article kind of opens the door for Lex Luthor to show up with fucking Green Lantern and Hawkgirl and shit. Like I could see that article being the first step to, you know, the rest of the conflicts throughout the movie, you know?
yeah.
But
Ooh.
and then the scene that we've seen since the very beginning of this, like the advertising campaigns of Superman like kissing Lois as they're flying through what looks to be the Daily Planet. I could see that being like their resolution, where Lois says, maybe I shouldn't have done that, and Clark says maybe I should have been a little bit more measured and thought about things from your point of view as well as my own, and then they kiss and they make up, and then Superman goes and he fights some big guy from space, I could see that being how the story goes, but also, it's a James Gunn movie. Who really knows what's gonna happen?
Maybe the entire movie is just the interview, and all the other bits of the trailer are not actually in the movie. It's just an interview with Superman and Lois Lane, and that's it.
Or it could be like every action scene, all the cool shit we see is just a flashback, and the movie is the interview, like Coffees and Cigarettes.
Yeah.
Right, where it's just two characters talking, and every once in a while they'll cut to Superman punching a big guy or petting his dog or whatever, and they cut back and Superman's getting increasingly pissed off, and Lois is like kind of getting more and more of a journalistic Cronkite-esque edge. Cronkite wasn't very edgy, but
I was gonna say, like, where the hell are you getting that from?
But because he calls her Cronkite in the thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I didn't. I felt like that was like so hard on like the, like they're like who's a famous journalist we can throw.
Oh
in
yeah.
Yes.
That was
the face of broadcast journalism. That works. Let's not pick.
Yeah.
Like it'd have been more
100%.
comparable to pick like an actual interviewer, written journalist, as opposed to just a blatant random broadcast figure that everyone liked.
Yeah, just the most famous journalist in the world, in all of history, and it makes sense that they picked that because it's it's Lois it's for everyone, right? So they're gonna pick a journalist that everyone knows. But I'm like, call her Larry King.
King.
I
would have gone with an actual. What I would say, like an actual written journalist, like I don't know, like Bob Woodward or somebody that's done interviews and like writes articles like Lois Lane does. This is a very nitpicky reference thing, but like
it is a little nitpicky. But guess what?
I thought I heard Cronkite and I was like, ah, boy, all right, whatever.
All right, fine. I was just thinking Larry King because he's a fucking interviewer. He interviews people, and most people know who.
Why not Jimmy Fallon? Why didn't they say Jimmy Fallon? It should have been Jimmy Fallon. Conan O'Brien. Why wasn't it Conan?
Why wasn't it Sean Evans from Hot Ones? Speaking of, I think we should try and get Sean Evans on the show. Do you think he'd have a TV show pitch for us?
I really thought you were going to do. Speaking of Hot Ones, and then.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am Swell Charles, excited. Another episode of the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast, episode 253. We're back. New TV shows to pitch, new exciting stories to come up with. Are you excited?
I'm so excited. It's gonna be great. We've got so many ideas, the both of us. They're pouring out of our heads.
Do we? I thought we only had one this week. We only have it.
Yeah, but I've got so many ideas that I'm just gonna force into your show. Like Frog Raw, I'm just going to force feed my ideas into your TV show.
Well, do you remember what the title was that you gave me last week?
Zeusophobia, I believe was the title.
Zeusophobia, that is right, which is like the fear of gods or whatever. I promised you that there would be gods in my show, and there are in fact gods. They're not essential to the story as I originally planned, because I started writing something and I was like, this is more fun, so I'm just gonna stick with this. But they do exist. They are real gods, because we're doing a nice fantasy adventure show. I tried to put this sort of like, this is the fantasy adventure show that is what what sci-fi adventure shows like like Rick and Morty,
Final Space,
like those kind, like those kind of like, once a adventure a week sci-fi shows.
Oh yeah. Okay,
like kind of like Venture Bros, but not as much of a parody sort of thing. What those are to sci-fi, this is going to be for fantasy.
Ooh.
So, our principal characters, we have our Brune. Brune is a greedy, broke, genius, drunk wizard. He's the wizard of the god Suval. So like how in my previous show, Ego Lives. There's kind of like a priest for every god. In this show, there's a wizard for every god, and the wizards for each god are kind of like, they're not like, praying to them and worshiping stuff. It's like they kind of like it's like the assistant, but there's no actual communication. It's just like they go around and like they do stuff in the world that like the gods should be doing, but the god's busy with other stuff,
Yeah.
Like, doing quests, doing the god's will on Earth. It'll make more sense in a little bit once I get to the other two gods and their conduits, essentially. But Brune, this greedy, broke, genius, drunk wizard, and his god Suval, who's the god of. Now Suval is. This won't make much. Well, I guess I'll explain all the gods. So there's Morak, who's the evil god. He's like Sauron, god of darkness, end of the world god. Then we have Balar, who's the god of light and good, heroes. Pussy. And Morak and Balar are like, they're the ones that are battling out, the fight between good and evil.
Yeah, the yin and yang, Black Knight, White Knight, Batman, Joker dichotomy.
Yes, that's good and evil. And Suval is the god of everything else. So there's good, evil, and everything else. So like,
and everything else.
If you're praying to like, defeat evil, or you're praying for like your child to be good or something, you're gonna pray to Balar or Morak, or like something like that, right? If you're praying for like a good harvest, you'll pray to Suval. If you're doing a toast at like dinner, you'll pray to Suval. If you're doing the laundry and you don't want to have to do like a second load because it didn't get the stain out, you'll pray to Suval. He's the god of literally everything else. So he's got like multi-personality disorder because he's constantly switching between all these personalities, because he's like the god of like partying and getting drunk, but he's also the god of like like accounting and
like
stuff.
doing your taxes and shit.
So he's kind of like stressed out of his mind, Suval. While his brothers, Morak and Balar, are like, these two centerpieces of the world battling it out. They get all the attention. Suval does all the work.
Yeah, okay.
And so Brune, our wizard, is the wizard of Suval, the god of everything else. Now, Brune is not alone in his journeys. He's got Danton. Danton is Brune's brutish thrall. So this huge, hulking, undead warrior who has supposedly been a thrall for centuries. Has been like dead for a long time and has been Brune's assistant for a long time. But like every time he's like fully killed, we'll get into that. But he like sort of loses his memories a little bit. He's because his brain is kind of like flopping out the side of his head. So if he loses parts of the brain, then he'll lose some of his memory. He's very cool, tough, angry guy.
Like me.
Obviously also
you're
like a zombie.
You're describing me. Yeah. Cool, tough, and angry.
Big hulking zombie guy. That's Danton. Then we have Brune's two young wards. We have Gustave and Pietro, who go by Gus and Pi for short. So these are like, these are the kids. This is the Mortys. These are the Hank and what's the other guy's name?
Hank and Dean.
Hank and Dean Venture. These are the two, young kids that young children can, put their impressions of themselves
project
on,
themselves
though they won't,
onto.
because this is kind of an adult show.
Kids with bad parents will project themselves onto these characters.
So Gus is very grumpy, lazy, sarcastic, very much a homebody. Doesn't really want to go out and do things. He's like the kid you go on vacation. He just wants to like play on his Nintendo DS the whole time. Doesn't want to
the worst kind of kid. I was that
He's also like super sarcastic, like any little, like he's very quick-witted and he'll make lots of like little jokes that he kind of mumbles, which Brune will very often not hear, but if he does, he'll like whack him on the head with a stick or something.
Yeah.
And Pi is very excitable, prankster, very wild and aggressive, a very, very exciting young kid. Loves the adventure, loves, everything that goes along
Bart.
with it.
So Gus is Lisa, this is, Pi is Bart.
Yeah, kind of.
Alright. Kind of. They're not one-to-ones, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, so those are our main 4 people that are going to be adventuring with us. I've explained the gods already. Now, some of the side characters we'll come across. We have the Duke. The Duke is the Dark Lord. He's trying to take over the world. Hates Brune for bullying him in school. So the Duke and Brune went to school together, and the Dark Lord was bullied by Brune, this, art-drunk wizard. And while Brune does not remember the Duke at all, the Duke certainly remembers Brune and wants revenge. He's actually a very small guy, but he's in, like, this massive suit of armor, so he looks a lot bigger, but every once in a while we'll see that he's, like, actually just a little dude inside of a big suit. He's the Wizard of Marok, so the evil god, trying to, do his bidding, take over the world, that kind of stuff. And he's got very comedic henchmen, so we'll constantly see his henchmen, like, doing stupid stuff and silly things. I love a good joke henchman, Henchmen are great.
Yeah, joke henchmen, I think, are an essential element of any comedic TV show that's a takedown of anything like superhero-y or fantasy or sci-fi, right? You gotta have a funny orc, or a funny stormtrooper, or a funny henchman,
Yeah.
Somebody who can laugh at the absurdity of being a henchman.
Now, Charlie, we've got the hero of Marok, the evil god. We've got the wizard of Suval, the god of everything else. We now have the hero of Balar, the god of light and goodness.
No.
And that is Heraculus. Heraculus is the badass hero wandering through the lands, finishing basically every quest and every job that needs to be done before anyone else can do it. So he's kind of an annoying presence for our crew who are, trying to make money and survive. And it's like anytime they come up with any trouble, it's like, oh yeah, Heraculus was here and he did everything and saved the world, and it's all great. We don't need anyone's help.
All right.
So then we have Prince Applebread. Prince Applebread is the leader of this kingdom, the central kingdom that's going to exist in this world that constantly needs help. Prince Applebread hates Brune. Likes Danton, though, for some reason, just has, like, this generic like for him. And, I'll get more into it once we get to the reveal in episode 2, but Prince Danton is going to become Prince Applebread becomes Princess Applebread, and there is a reason for that. But I'll get into that shortly. We have Maria and Les Hex. They are the Team Rocket, essentially, of this universe. They're these zombie / witch hunting twins that are out for Brune for all sorts of horrific things. So Brune, as you've noticed, Brune has a zombie thrall named Danton, who, that's clearly some necromancy right there, and not everyone's gonna be cool with that, which is why we've got these witch / zombie hunters that are constantly on their butt. But if he's gonna resurrect this zombie thrall, he's probably done some other messed up stuff before in the past, and we'll get all kinds of references, but never any clear idea of what he did. But it's all gonna sound absolutely horrific. Like resurrecting whole towns for horrific,
to watch him play a soccer match or something like that,
Yeah, like very silly things like that, essentially. All right.
I need to keep my beer cold, but I don't want to lug around a refrigerator all the time. So I resurrected this dead body who froze to death, and I ripped out all his guts and I stuffed a whole bunch of beer in his chest cavity. So he walks around and carries my drinks for me. Yeah,
it's like somebody's dead grandmother who just died, just walking around holding like a cooler, dragging it around. Like, yeah, I mean, she's dead, there's no point, I'm just using the body. People are, like, horrified. Like, what are you doing? That's my grandma.
grandma
Yeah,
shouldn't
you
have
know,
been so strong.
it's just a sack of bones. Your grandma's gone, you know. I'm just making use
She's
of
in
the
hell,
storage.
don't worry. I checked, she's down there. She is
She's definitely
burning
down.
up.
Yeah, she did some fucked up stuff when she was younger.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah. So, the pilot, the opening episode. We open in the bedroom of an inn. Gus and Pi are sleeping soundly when all of a sudden the door bursts open and a disheveled Brune starts drunkenly rifling through their things. So he's like opening up their packs, searching under their mattresses, like going through everything, and they're like sort of groggily waking up. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And he's pissed off and he's angry and he's like searching for money. And he's like asking if they have any money. And they're both like, "No, we're like, you know, fucking kids. Why would we have any money? Why are you looking through our things? Like, what is this about?" And he's like, "We gotta go. We gotta leave." He just like shoves them into, like pulls them out of bed, rips off the covers, opens the closet where Danton is, you know, the zombie, because he doesn't really need to sleep, so they don't really need to get him a bed, so they just shove him in the closet. And Danton is annoyed and asks what's happening. And Brune just says that he lost some money at cards, so they have to go. Like, they have to go right now. So they're trying to sneak out of this inn. This inn is not like in a town. It's just like an inn on the side of the road. And so they manage to get out. But once they reach the road, they're accosted by our Team Rocket, Maria and Les Hex, who do a very dramatic intro where they say their names and spin around and, you know, throw some jacks or something on the ground. Like, you know, say like, we're here. Team Hex is gonna stop you and your evil doings. And Brune is like, "Oh, you've got the wrong guy. I'm not a wizard. No, I'm just a friendly, you know,
I'm just
merchant
a long
on the road with
cloak
my
and
two boys."
Pointy hat enthusiast. That's all I
Yes,
am.
I'm a hat salesman, just on the road with my two young wards and our donkey. And he like pushes Brune down, so he's like on all fours. He's still got a sheet on his head so that nobody can see he's a zombie. We're like, "Why do you have a sheet on your donkey?" And they're like, he's shy." That's what it is. Like, okay, shy donkey, that makes sense.
It's a ghost donkey.
Ghost donkey. So he like manages to sort of convince them. They're like, "Okay, well, you know, if you're not the wizard we're looking for, then I guess we'll let you pass." Kids seem nice, so probably fine. But as they're just getting away, the sheet snags on a branch, revealing Danton, who's very clearly a zombie man. And a chase ensues as the Hex twins chase after our intrepid group through the forest until they eventually reach a small town, which offers them protection if they promise to kill a dragon. So they run into this town. The town's not going to let them in because they're, you know, it's very clearly a wizard, a zombie man. But like the town leader's like, wait, we'll let you in, and we won't let the twins in, the Hex twins in. We'll tell them, you know, you kept on running if you kill a dragon for us. And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever, you know, we'll do whatever you say. Danton is kind of resistant, like, I don't know if we could kill a dragon. But Brune's like, yes, of course, yeah, I'm a wizard, I can do it, I can kill this dragon easily.
Totally
Don't worry about it. I've got this completely under control. You know, of course, you know, who can't kill a dragon? What good wizard wouldn't be able to kill a dragon?
Of course.
So they procrastinate a little bit. They spend weeks in this town, living life. Pi and Gus get like some cool armor and are like hanging out in the town. Gus, the grumpy one, is like, you know, not totally loving life here until he sees a village girl named Emma, who he has this like very very fleeting romance with. But at the end of it, we'll reveal that Emma is just a scarecrow in the field, and he didn't realize it the whole time. He's like keeps seeing her off in the distance, and he's like, "Oh, I think she's looking at me." And like we'll see at this point that Gus needs glasses, and it's kind of the part of the reason why Gus is not able to tell that Emma is not a girl and is a scarecrow.
Is in fact,
and he'll be like in the field with her, like chatting and everything, and it's just like does not realizing that he's just speaking with the scarecrow. He'll get like chased away by like the farmer every once in a while, thinking that like, oh, it's her dad who's like not letting them hang out together. And No, it's just a farmer telling him to get out of his field, and that's it.
Stop.
I don't know why this kid keeps hanging out by my scarecrow.
Well, stop trying to have sex with my scarecrow, god damn it.
It won't be revealed until the end when they leave town, where he's like, look, Bruno, as they're leaving, Gus is like, oh, and like, we need to go back for Emma, and he's like, wait, you mean the scarecrow? He's like, what do you mean the scarecrow? He's like, that's a scarecrow. Like, what do you named the scarecrow Emma? Like, let's move on. Like, what the fuck is this kid talking about?
I could
while that's
definitely see him, like, the farmer yelling, get away from my property, and our guy thinking, like, man, I can't believe Emma lives in such a misogynistic homestead that her father would think of her as his property? I mean, what is this? Like, 3,000, BCE? No, this is 4,000 BCE, alright? We know what's going on. We're up to date. We're politically correct, you know? And him just going on and on about this to everybody, and they're just kind of like rubbing their eyes and just being like, yeah, okay, buddy, I can't wait to meet this girl. And the ending reveal, and everyone slaps him upside the head because tried to have sex with the scarecrow.
I like how your BCE example, you chose 4,000 and 3,000, but BCE is the one where it counts down.
Yeah, I know, it goes backwards. Well, it's because it means different things in this fantasy time.
Oh, right? Yes, of course. Thank you. Yes, sorry.
Duh, Jake.
Yeah, my bad.
I didn't make a mistake when I was talking. You made a mistake when you thought about things.
But I was listening. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. You're the idiot.
So, well, Gus is having problems because he can't see very well, and dating the scarecrow. Pie, the more adventurous of the two kids, is starting off trying to become the greatest archer in history. He watches people shooting. Watches a trick shot artist in the middle of town. He shoots an apple off a guy's head. And he's like, I want to do that, and he begins training, and he's absolutely horrific at it. He shoots multiple people in the head over and over and over again, or maybe he's so bad not in the head, shoots him in the chest or the arm or the leg, or shoots the wrong guy. Over and over again, he's trying to hit these apples off these people's heads, and he's not getting any better. People are like, please, can you just practice on a target? And he's like, no, I need real danger to practice. I need the hardest.
It's the only way I'll improve.
Mm-hmm.
The target needs to be breathing. He's like, the apple's not breathing. Shut up. Bang.
And so while he's doing that, Danton is wandering through the town. He's exploring parts of the town. He has these vague memories of the area. He can feel a lot of it looks familiar, and a lot of these faces kind of seem familiar, but he's like, this isn't really possible. I've been alive for hundreds of years. There's no, I don't know why I kind of feel like I remember this town. So he's sort of wandering around. And while he's doing that, of course, Brune has to be the one that ruins this all for everyone. He's drinking and gambling like crazy until he runs out of money and pisses off most of the town, which encourages them to be like, wait a second, these guys are supposed to kill the dragon. They got to go kill the dragon. I don't know why they're waiting so long.
They're still putzing around here trying to have sex with a scarecrow and injuring everyone with bows and arrows. Go kill the dragon?
Yeah, exactly. We got this zombie man wandering around, scaring everybody. Come on. Go kill the dragon. So, they force them all to go to the cave. They arrive, and almost immediately, as soon as they go in, Danton gets his head chopped off by the dragon. And they just sprint out and run as fire, erupts out of the cave. And, they're, running into town. And Brune has a story prepared where he's, we killed the dragon, but we lost Brune on the way, we're the heroes, and people in the town cheer for a moment. They're like, yay, they killed the dragon, yay! And as they do that, a massive eruption of fire comes out of the cave, and the dragon breaks open and flies out and starts terrorizing the town. So it's a million times worse than ever. They've just infuriated the dragon, and it's now causing massive destruction.
Yeah,
and so they're immediately...
style.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're immediately imprisoned. So Danton is gone. Brune and Gus and Pie are locked in a jail cell, arrested, listening to the screams of everyone outside. No way to escape. They're just gonna burn alive in this prison once the dragon gets to it. But a guard comes up, and the guard doesn't look quite right. The guard The armor is well too small for it. It's kind of saggy. And most notably, the arm isn't properly attached. And that is when it reveals itself as Danton, who didn't die because he's a zombie. I mean, he gets his head chopped off, but he could just put that back on. He's still alive.
Yeah, he used his tongue to crawl his way out of the thing. Out of the cave.
Yeah, slowly. But surely manages to get himself out. And so he releases them, and they're leaving the town. This is when Gus will, want to go find Emma, but it's revealed that it's a scarecrow, and everyone laughs at him.
You jackass.
And Danton gives one last look at the town. It's like really feels like he remembers something about it, but can't quite place it. And as they're heading off into the distance, Pi turns around and takes one last shot of an arrow at the town, in an effort to kill the dragon, and they keep on moving. And the credits roll. And at the end credit scene is that arrow flying through the air and landing straight in the dragon's eye and killing it immediately. And but it happens just as the rooster crows, and the dragon lands directly, like sliding through the town perfectly, right in front of the rooster, like right at the rooster's feet. And the town people, they see this, and they're like, "The rooster killed the dragon! Hooray!" And they lift up the rooster and start cheering.
And they start cheering.
And they start painting like rooster signs everywhere and rename themselves Roosterville and start worshiping this rooster as a god. All this kind of stuff.
I did have an idea for as they're walking away. Like Gus takes one last look at the scarecrow and he rubs his eyes and he looks and he really sees that it's a scarecrow. He says, I don't know what I was thinking. And he turns away and he's real sad. And then you cut to the scarecrow and one single tear rolls down its scarecrow face. And you're like, oh yeah, this is like a magical universe. It could definitely be an enchanted scarecrow that's fallen in love with him.
Oh, that might be really good for the next episode. Okay, so the next episode, the idea is that the reason that there, as you will notice in the first episode, there are no women, is that there is a sexist wizard who has put a spell across the world and made everybody a man. So there are no women anymore in the world. And so when they defeat this wizard, it'll be revealed that Pi is actually a girl.
I was gonna say, which of the main four are you gonna turn into a woman? Because that's funny. I like that. A sexist gay wizard was he was very angry about how little sex he was having, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna double my chances.
Yeah. I like that as well. Whether it should be a sexist and gay wizard or just a gay wizard.
Just a gay
just
wizard.
A sexist wizard.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Anyway, but everyone in the world is a man, and so this wizard changed it, and now Pi is a girl. Prince Applebread is now Princess Applebread. They all originally were this, but the wizard changed it.
And
Prince Applebread goes back to Princess Applebread. Pi becomes a girl again, and maybe the scarecrow, we'll see in the after credit scene of this episode. The scarecrow, as soon as the spell's broken, turns back into a girl. Yeah. And it was like Gus was like somehow seeing through the magic. And maybe that's part of this. Like somehow Gus is able to like occasionally see through the magic world that the
Oh, that would be a good way to start the episode, is with like Gus like casually sitting in the back of the I'm assuming it's a cart, right? They're riding on. And Gus is just like throwing cards into a hat or whatever, like trying to pass the time. He looks up and he sees Pi, and Pi's a girl, and he's like, what? He rubs his eyes and it's like, and then he looks up and Pi's a boy again, and he's like, oh, that was weird, and it just keeps happening, you know?
Yeah, that'd be good. I like that.
You know, he looks into a field of it's a field of all bulls, and then he opens his eyes again, and it's all cows, and then he blinks, and it's all bulls again. And he's like, oh, this is so weird. And maybe it's like the closer he gets to the original, like spell bearer, the weaker the magic becomes, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, that could be good. And he'll be like saying this, and like no one will believe him, and then like Brune will slowly realize it over time. Like they'll go to like an inn, and he'll notice that like there's not like a single woman there, and he's like, guys, like, do you know, any women I can hire for the night? And he's like, they're like, a woman? Like what do you mean a woman? Like what are you talking about? It's like like a girl. Or like, yeah, I'm not tracking here. What are you talking about?
I don't get what you're talking about. And I think it would also be funny. Well, maybe even they're like, yeah, of course. Look at these beautiful maidens, and it's like 5 or 6 of people, and they're all dressed in like the you know, the garbs of the time, the type of tavern wench uniforms you would expect with lots of cleavage and everything, but it's all 6 hairy dudes. And they're like, take your pick of the litter. Look at our beautiful maidens that we have up for rent. 2 gobber for 30 minutes, 3 for an hour. And he's kind of like, it's a bit, huh. No.
He's like, I've had a lot to drink, but I swear, I'm almost sure
I'm so sure this is all there's a lot of chest hair going on for beautiful maidens. You know? It's somebody's bag, it's not mine. I'm gonna say no for now. Let's see how desperate I get. You know? And then we eventually get to the gigantic, I am assuming the tower that this wizard is in is very unsubtly a giant phallus. Like, it just has to be a gigantic penis tower. And then after his wizardry is defeated by our main characters, they get out of the tower and it crumbles into a very, very suggestive, like, cave in the ground. And you're like, oh, okay, I get where we're going with this. And then we look up and Pie's a girl now. She's like, oh my god. I always felt a little bit different, but I didn't know what it was. Huh. Look at these. Crazy.
Yeah. And like, the whole, Brune's like, they're like, well, Brune, like, how did you not notice that, like, Pie was suddenly a boy, and, like, before was a girl? He's like, I'm, to be fair, I don't really even know what you look like, Jerry.
Yeah.
It's like, my name's Gus. All right, Bob, let's keep going.
Let's move it. Come on. Let's keep it moving. Yeah, I like it.
It's hard to keep track of all my wards, you know. I switch them out so, like, you know, I get a new one every once in a while.
They come and go, and, you know, this is the only one I really remember. It's because he's gigantic and blue, because he's a dead guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah.
Anton.
It helps. Being a gigantic blue dead guy really does help.
Another episode idea I had was that, they'll, Princess Applebread will send them to, like, a battlefield where the Duke is, like, coming to, you know, take over her kingdom. And, they arrive, and everyone is upset that they're there and not Hercules, who they thought was gonna come for, like, this final showdown between good and evil. But all that showed up was, you know, the Brune and Danton and 2 kids.
And 2, like, teenage people that they're like, what the fuck? Yeah, okay. And I guess we'll kill you now?
Yeah. And so, like, the Duke is also annoyed, because he's like, I thought this was going to be a showdown between good and evil. Like, where is Hercules? And then he looks a closer look at Brune, and he's like, wait a second. Is that's Brune? And he gets, you know, he's obscenely mad. And he gives this whole speech about, like, you know, how he's like, better now, and he's like, you know, he's gone past whatever, you know, Brune called him in school, and he's not gonna take any of that anymore. And he's like, he's made something of himself, and he's like this great evil leader now, and he's gonna take over the world, and, you know, no one will be able to make fun of him again. And Brune just wasn't paying attention to the whole speech, and is like, I'm sorry, like, who are you? Like,
what?
Do I know you from somewhere?
I was looking at that bird. I haven't seen that kind of bird before. It's pretty cool.
He's like, sorry, I'm like deaf in my left ear. Like, you're gonna have to speak up a little bit.
And as he says that, the left ear falls off because he's a corpse, and he's like, oh, hold on one sec, let me just...
Well, that's Danton. Brune's the one that went
yes.
Danton's the zombie, Brune's the wizard.
You're right.
But Danton is important in a second here, because they decide that the way they're gonna sort out this battle is like they're gonna pick, like, their 3 or 4 best fighters and pit them against each other, and, like, as, like, a battle of champions, and whoever wins, like, decides the fight. So, you know, all these soldiers don't need to die, and you know, the Dark Lord will leave if he loses, and if he wins, they have to give up the whole kingdom.
Yeah.
So, they pick their sides. The best warriors of both are decided. So we've got like these, the best warriors of the Princess Applebread's kingdom, 3 of them, and Danton. And then we've got the 3, or the 4 toughest knights of the Dark Lord. And they all fight it out. Danton is killed almost immediately. He gets his head chopped off. And we have this epic fight between, like, the last few knights. And the Dark Lord, like, barely wins. We'll have this, horrific scene where... It kind of like, I was thinking like we do like the Viper versus the Mountain in Game of Thrones, where you have like this lithe small guy like Pedro Pascal, who's got like a spear, who's like representing, the princess and the kingdom. And we have like this big hulking mountain guy who ends up, the small guy, the Pedro Pascal like guy, and is like winning the whole fight, but through some trickery, he ultimately loses. And we have this hulking big mountain evil dude bashing in his skull over and over and over again, and the crowd is like distraught because the forces of evil have prevailed, but a headless Danton gets up and chops off the head of the mountain guy and then picks up his own head and puts it on and marches back over to Brune, who's like, everyone in the whole crowd is completely silent on what has just happened. Like, this zombie man just got up and chopped up the head of this like hulking massive knight who just killed like the pride,
the greatest
of the
warrior that the kingdom's ever seen, or whatever.
But Brune is just fucking loses his mind, like, whoa, let's go, Danton! Ah!
Yes!
Like, drunk off his ass. He also clearly just bet on the fight as well, and it's just got away with a ton of money. And
he's so
everyone's just
it.
leaving as, like, the pride of their, of, like, their chivalry has just died. But, I mean, they've won. But, like, in a very weird way, because this zombie man has just won it. And the Dark Lord, the Duke, is just like, is that allowed? Like, can we, like, is that fair?
Dude, I thought he was one of mine. What the fuck are you talking about? Holy shit.
How did you not kill the zombie man? Like, what do you mean you didn't? He's a zombie. Like, how did you not realize he was gonna get up? And, like, the henchmen are like, sorry, sir. Like, I don't know. Like, they must have just figured that it was fine. Like, they chopped off his head. He's a zombie. He's gonna just put his head back on. You've got to, like, burn him or something. I don't know. Just kill the zombie.
Keep his head away from his body, at least. I mean, come on, you guys. Half of you are fucking skeleton men. You should know better than this.
Yes.
Oh, sorry,
we're the evil god. Like, how did you not realize that this was going to be a problem, that the zombie man was going to get back up?
Jesus. That's great. That would be so much like that fight in Game of Thrones, another Game of Thrones fight where Bran fights for Tyrion in Riverwood.
Bronn, you mean?
River Run? Bronn, yes. And he's like, you fight with, and the creepy queen is like, you fight with no chivalry. He fought with chivalry. Now he's dead. Like, I love that, where everyone's ego is just fucking deflated because some guy cheated. And he's like, yeah, I cheated and I won. What are you gonna fucking do about it? You know? Both good and evil have they have shriveled up in the showers compared to the rock hard, turgid determination of being in the middle ground. You know?
Yeah. Some of my other ideas that I have for the show, as like a through line, there's gonna be a constant. Suval is gonna be hunting down Brune because Brune isn't, as you know, as I explained, like the wizard or like the the conduit of the god is supposed to be like doing their bidding on the world, like making the god's life easier, but Brune kind of isn't doing that at all. And so Suval is gonna be like trying to hunt him down so that he can like get him to actually do work for him, because Suval is this like completely stressed out god who's got to be doing everything in the world, and his wizard who's supposed to be helping him is just not doing shit. And it'll be like revealed that like in his past Brune was like super attentive and always trying to like help people out and like be the wizard that like Suval needed and like help with the workload, but he realized that it's just like too much work and there's like kind of no point into doing it, because like if he spends all of his life doing all of the god's work, he'll like only lessen the workload by like 0.05% or something like that. Like it's like such a little impact he's having because he's just one guy. So he just kind of like fucks around instead and like enjoys his power. And he's like, Suval is going to be constantly trying to hunt him down and get him to work more because he's stressed out of his mind. Another slow reveal that we'll have throughout is that, so Princess Applebread, she has this, it's instinctual liking of Danton. Danton, like, she just thinks he's like, swell guy. I hate Brune though. And she's also sworn to be single forever because her one true love vanished in the night during a red moon, which she believes he vanished, according to this prophecy to, like, go to slay the evil Dark Lord. He'll return once the Dark Lord is killed, right? That's the prophecy. In reality, what happened is that after deciding to ditch his god Suval, Brune got horrifically drunk and accidentally murdered Danton as, like, this knight who was, like, coming back to his... Danton is the love of Princess Applebread and her, like, former lover. And he was, like, heading back to the princess after this quest, defeating this evil person, was heading back to, his wife, his lover, and accidentally gets run over in a drunken horse accident by Brune. And Brune's, like, panicking, freaking out, and he, like, resurrects him, but, like, doesn't, because he's drunk, he does it poorly, and only resurrects him as a zombie. And, like, as he's, like, trying to fix his mistake, he keeps making things worse and having to, like, put other body parts on and, like, Frankensteining him. And it just gets progressively worse and worse. And eventually he just starts telling him this lie that he's actually been alive for, like, hundreds of years. And, like, oh, you've just forgotten about that because because parts of your brain have been lost. But we've been, like, buddies for, like, hundreds of years. He's like, oh, yeah, sure, okay. Like, I'll believe that. But in reality, Danton, like, only died, like, 20 years ago or, like, 10 years ago or something. And he's, like, all of his family and his, like, his lover are still alive and in the same world he's in. He just can't remember them because he's got brain issues.
Yeah, and now he's a horrible, like, zombie corpse monster. So it's like, he's been screwed. He's got screwed over pretty hard.
This is something that will be, like, very clear to the audience, but it will not be revealed to Brune or to Danton. I don't think. I think Danton should never know that he's, like, this horrific thing. Like, it'll be hinted, like, he's starting to, like he like feels like he really recognizes Princess Applebread. And there's, like, something about her, but, like,
maybe there's a giant portrait
he won't
of
realize
him
what
in the
happened.
background, like a giant portrait of his like living visage holding on to Princess Applewood. And he's just not putting it together. He looks up and he looks at a mirror and he looks up and he looks at a mirror and he's like, huh, guy's pretty handsome. All right. And he walks away.
And, like, no one puts two and two together. They're always just like, maybe Gus is, like, really, like, they kind of look alike. And everyone's like, yeah, shut up, Gus. What are you talking about?
Shut up,
guys,
Gus. You didn't even know that your brother was actually your sister.
Yeah. Come on.
What do you know? You can't see.
Idiot.
Dumbass.
Absolute idiot.
They all slap him, and he's like, I'm sorry, I won't bring it out. I won't say it again. Jesus. God, you guys are so mean. Shut up, Gus. Yeah.
Poor Gus.
Poor Gus.
Well, that is my show. That is Zeusophobia, my
I like it
fantasy
a lot.
adventure show.
Fantasy adventure parody comedy show. I think it's fun. I think it's very classic VRP, though. In a good way, in the best way possible. Even.
I love some classic VRP. I love some, just some light, fun adventures with some fun characters.
No thematic, like, nothing sad about, like, families or like addiction or whatever. It's just fun.
Yeah.
I have to do that next week. I can't do anything serious next week. It has to be a fun show.
Well, we'll see once you get your title.
Ooh, that's a good point. Well, let me do the outro first. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, has been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. And remember, we will be here next week with a brand new televisual series for you to imagine and enjoy. And the title of that series shall be I'm doing a drum roll again.
He's got a drum roll. I don't want to edit one in this time, so I'm just gonna let you do your weird like noise that you just did, and that'll be it. That's all he's gonna get.
That's fine. What's my title? Give me some numbers.
Your title. I already told you what your title is.
I know what my title is.
There's no point in this charade. What is your title, Charlie?
It's West of Nowhere.
West of Nowhere.
West of Nowhere. Yeah. It's probably gonna be about a ghost cowboy. You know me. You know I love ghost cowboys.
Yeah, who doesn't love a ghost cowboy? I mean,
yeah,
it's a cowboy, which is cool.
Cowboy.
And ghosts are cool.
And ghosts are pretty
people
cool.
like gunslingers, you know? It's a trope. People like westerns. Westerns are popular, I think.
Yeah, westerns are coming back, and I think we can thank Quentin Tarantino for that.
I think we can thank Alec Baldwin for that.
Oh, no.
And Rust.
Oh, no.
Which released recently.
Oh, God, did it release?
Yeah.
Mate, talk about a ghost cowboy. Jesus Christ. I'll talk to you later. Everyone, please have a good night.